G-Man Boxing. Do you know what I mean? Every single live he donates. I see him on other lives donating. He's got the bag on it.
Alright, people, midweek report time. Lots to dissect because there's been a lot of interviews with fighters going around. Interview with John Fury as well, which was on Stamina for Sale, which I listened to. I'll touch on that in a wee bit. Might touch on that at the start actually, but John Fury back in the day, his interviews, I loved them. I did. If you go back to like 2016, 2017, you're probably talking, that was peak John Fury interviews when you could listen to what he was saying. You agreed with some of the things he was saying as well. And it was just good watching. Today, oh, good Lord, it's a chore listening to some of John Fury's interviews. You listen to them and you're just like, you're talking absolute. You almost get the impression, right, that John Fury back a couple of years ago, people watch his interviews and a lot of people would have agreed with some of the things he was saying. You know, I remember that Charles Martin interview where he called out Charles Martin just after Charles Martin fought Anthony Joshua. And people were kind of liking it. You know, there's still snippets of that they use on highlight reels of John Fury interviews and stuff like that. And I guess he obviously still feels that when he starts saying things, people will take notice. But when he's talking absolute nonsense, like when he says that Alexander Usyk ducked Tyson Fury, which he clearly didn't. The fact of the matter is, Tyson Fury keeps moving the goalpost, or kept moving the goalpost during the negotiations for the April 29th fight. And for some reason, he still believes that the public will believe that he says, oh yeah, Fury wanted the fight, but Usyk ducked him. Really? Really? I mean, and he's still having a go at Sugar Hill. He's still having a go with Sugar Hill Stewart, even though, you know, you go back to 2020, he was praising Sugar Hill Stewart to the highest. You go back and look at some of the articles from back then, praising Sugar Hill for the work he was doing with Tyson Fury. But the fact of the matter was, Sugar Hill let slip that he was over to train Lawrence Okolie for his fight against David Light, and that he was going straight back to the US after that. So that basically let the cat out of the bag, that Fury never intended to go through with the fight. So that was the John Fury interview that he did on Stamina for Sale with Spencer Fearon. So, you know, as I said, John Fury, I used to love a good John Fury interview. Some of them were funny. You know, I remember, was it post? Yeah, no, it was, I think it was either before, or it was in the run up to the Parker Fury fight, actually, Huey Fury, where some of those interviews were just funny. And he just looked, the thumbnails were brilliant back then because he always looked peeved off. And you just knew, right, let's have a listen to this and see what he starts ranting about. But I think that's kind of worn off now over the years. In terms of Deontay Wilder, spot a botter is the word we're going to use. Spot a botter. So he was arrested, had been reportedly arrested, in California on charges of possessing a concealed weapon, a 9mm pistol, in his car during a traffic stop in LA. It's understood that he was bonded out of jail. That was yesterday morning, because apparently he was pulled over because his Rolls Royce, I think it was, windows were too blackly tinted. All right, and they'll do you for that. Well, they won't do you, but they'll pull you over. I think you can have them tinted so much. Certainly in Ireland, I know that's the case. You can have them tinted so much before they start saying, But I think you can have, in Ireland there's a weird rule that you can have your back window tinted pretty much as dark as you want, but the rest of the car, no, there's a limit. Now, there was also reports that there was some of the old wacky yacky tobacco, we'll use that word. At the end of the day, like, getting caught with that, really, really, I mean, for me, like, it's a whole nother subject with that, but I haven't used that in over a decade, but I wouldn't really care if anyone got caught. Like, I'd be just saying, just who cares? Like, it's, everyone pretty much has done it or uses it these days anyway, so who gives a you-know-what? Who gives a monkeys? With the pistol thing, Wilder is from Alabama. Now, Alabama is a southern state. Now, if you go and look at America, the southern states tend to be a lot looser on gun ownership than certainly California would not be a state I personally would like to live in at all. You know, if there were states in America, I would probably edge towards the southern states myself, to be honest with you, because California really doesn't seem like a nice place. And yeah, they're obviously got some different laws on that kind of thing. With Wilder, some people were blowing this out of the water. I don't think it's going to be. I think at most he'll probably just have to pay a fine, which wouldn't be much for Deontay Wilder. He's a multi-millionaire. Some people were blowing this way out of proportion, saying like he should be, he shouldn't get a Joshua fight off the back of this. It's like, what? Really? All right. No, it's not a major, like as I said, spot a bother is the best way to describe it. He'll probably, if at worst, probably get a fine. It won't go anywhere. 100%, that won't go absolutely anywhere. In terms of Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, etc., Eddie Hearn gave a Boxing Social interview where he's declared that talks with the Saudis went positive to make Joshua versus Wilder on the same night as Tyson Fury Usyk in December. We're up for it. Concrete offer coming this week. AJ said, 100% I'm into fighting Wilder. So I would imagine that's going to be on the same card. Now, obviously, it's a massive money fight. It's a blockbuster fight, Joshua and Wilder on its own. Imagine doing that on the undercard of Alexander Usyk versus Tyson Fury. I mean, it's just tremendous. I mean, that really would be... I mean, I remember saying, if that was the case, 35 quid, take my money. And some people were saying, gee, it probably would, like, over this end of the pond anyway, it probably would. They'd probably be asking for the 50 quid mark. And would you really blame them? I mean, like, you're talking about 2 pay-per-view fights on the same card. 2 pay-per-view fights on the same card. If you were going to slap 25 quid each, say one was 1 week, one was the other, 25 quid each, you probably wouldn't be asking, it wouldn't be out of the realms of possibility, so they probably just combine them together. So maybe it would be a 50 quid job, which would be unheard of on this end of the pond. I know in the US, you guys pay astronomical figures, like what was it, Tank Davis versus Ryan was $85 thereabouts, astronomical figures. So I know you tend to, I see it in the comments as well, like when you see people ranting about, Fury versus Chisora was what, £27, and people would be like, gee, we pay at the minimum probably about $50. And it's like, yeah, you do kind of stop and think, Jesus, they do get absolutely shafted sometimes in America for the pay-per-views. But if we got this card, I would be so happy if we got that card, because I think that's just amazing. The fact of the matter is you have 2 blockbuster fights there. We get to see Undisputed. I really hope it happens. Obviously, I've been talking about Fury and his next move against someone like Zhilei Zhang, which I think is it's a decent fight, don't get me wrong. Obviously, I'd rather see Undisputed, but if he has to have a fight in between, and if likewise Alexander Usyk has to, I'd rather see them both, in good fights. I'd rather see Usyk against Hrgovic, and I'd like to see Fury against Zhang, and obviously, hopefully, that culminates in a fight then this coming December, which would be, happy Christmas. In terms of fights that are coming up this week, obviously we have Canelo versus John Ryder, which is happening on Saturday. Now, I've already talked about that fight. I've already done a breakdown. I've already done everything about that fight. So, I've talked about the card itself. I completely forgot. And it's such a lackluster card, it's easy to forget. Joshua Buatsi is fighting Powell Stefan. Now, he was meant to fight Callum Smith. He is the second best light heavyweight in Poland. There's an achievement right there. And he's fighting Joshua Buatsi. Now, the undercard itself is, as is so customary with these boxer shows, pretty diabolical. You've got Sean McComb, who was promoted by, he was managed by that old managerial company that no longer exists. Haven't seen much of him since then, actually. Has he been in the ring since then? Yeah, no, he fought last year a couple of times. Of course, he fights a lot on Conlon shows. He's in there against Cassie Benjamin, who I have seen a few times. 2 losses. Who did he lose to? Oh, yeah, he lost to Dalton Smith there back at November time, actually. So he's going in there with Sean McComb. Could be a bit out of skin from McComb. I mean, he's really, in terms of domestic level, I mean, he's never really... The one time he stepped up was it Gavin Gwynn? Yeah, it was. And he quit in that fight. And that was a bad quit as well. So there's that. There's Tyler Denny versus Macaulay McGuinn. Alright, Tyler Denny is not a bad fighter, but he got a reality check certainly in his last fight. Oh no, that was Bradley Ray. Actually, he beat Bradley Ray in his last. That's who I was thinking. I was thinking of Bradley Ray there for a sec. And obviously you have Ben Whittaker versus Jordan Grant. Now I have to say as well again, Ben Whittaker, I rate him. I think he's a good fighter. He's been out of the ring since last August. I believe he had a hand injury But he's going in there against Jordan Grant, and honestly, Jordan Grant, this is a guy, right, who got soundly outboxed and beaten by Tommy Fury. This is a guy who got stopped by John Doherty in 2 rounds and then lost his last fight to Aaron McKenna. Not even remotely on the level of a Ben Whittaker. So I'm a bit kind of like, I think, again, you could say, gee, to be fair, he's out of the ring, what 10 months thereabouts, so it's a while. Yeah, I get that, but still, like, I'm sure they could have got someone a little bit higher level than this. No disrespect to Jordan Grant, but it's just, I can only say with what I've seen. You know, you're getting beaten, and he was hurt, I think, a few times in that fight as well against Tommy Fury. I mean, Tommy Fury's gone life and death with a YouTuber. There you go. I mean, there you go. So that's the match room. That's the boxer card in a nutshell. In terms of Anthony Joshua's next move, so obviously, right, Anthony Joshua announced on his Instagram page a couple of weeks ago that it wasn't ideal, everything has a bigger plan, that he's not going to be fighting until December. Now, we all believe that December date is, well, the December fight, I should say, is going to be against Deontay Wilder, which we all want to see. It's a great fight. But that means then that he's going to have no fight in the summer. However, Eddie Hearn has gone on Boxing Social and said that Joshua and Derek James both want Joshua to fight either the 29th of July or the 5th of August before a potential Deontay Wilder clash in Saudi Arabia. Again, that is mainly stemming by what way the Saudis want to do things, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who are obviously going to be putting up the money for this. They're the ones who are going to want to make sure this fight goes off without a hitch. So they're not going to want to take any risks. I would say, though, that on the flip side, you could say, well, Joshua not fighting from April until December is not ideal. Well, you would say, well, what's going to happen with Deontay Wilder? Would he get an interim fight? Surely, if one's not going to get an interim fight, the other wouldn't be able to. And I'd be more worried about Wilder not getting the interim fight rather than Joshua, because at least with Joshua, it's only 9 months. With Wilder, it's 14 months. And Joshua went 12 rounds in his last fight. Wilder went, 2 minutes? There's a big difference. Big difference. So I would say just let them both have a run out. You know, let Joshua have a run out against who, I don't know. Dylan White was mentioning Joe Joyce before Joe Joyce got beat by Zhilei Zhang. Would they try? Look, at the end of the day, I get why the Saudis are probably saying maybe suggesting that we don't want to risk anything. I would say you're probably good with risking him against Dylan White, to be honest with you, because I don't think Dylan White, he's got a punch, and you never know in heavyweight boxing, but I would say that Joshua would probably be okay going in there against White. I would be fairly, I would say it's probably only enough. I would give Dylan White maybe at best a 10% chance, and that's me being generous, of beating Joshua. 90% chance Joshua irons him, probably early. So I would say if you want to take that risk, and if you're talking about Wilder, I mean, who would you really put him in there with? You want obviously someone to mimic Anthony Joshua, someone a bit tough and durable. That's the tricky one. You wouldn't want him to go in there with someone too deadly either. I mean, Hellenius was great matchmaking. I know we've seen it and you'd struggle to sell it, but would you put him in there just against Gerald Washington? I mean, just Gerald Washington can box a bit long. I know Wilder already beaten him before, but someone that kind of level who is, going to maybe try and box more than they would try and take it to Wilder. Maybe they could do that in the summer. Who knows? Eddie Hearn has insisted that he has not yet signed Regis Prograis. Hearn has held talk to the WBC, super lightweight world champion, but said nothing is agreed, no deal close or imminent. Now, the rumour mill I'm hearing with Regis Prograis is that there's 2 people, so obviously Eddie Hearn and as well Bob Arum, who are looking to get his signature. Apparently Hearn's is a 3-fight deal, whereas Bob Arum's is a 5-fight deal. So it's a real case of what would you rather. At the end of the day, a 5-fight deal, I wouldn't worry necessarily that much about it, nor would I worry about a 3-fight deal. When they start coming at this point in your career and offering you 4 or 5-year deals, red flag, don't take it. Right, but if they're offering you a 5-fight deal, a 3-fight deal, it's really who you see as being in the best position. At the end of the day, you're talking about £140. Regis Prograis would fight Jack Catterall, but what does he gain for that if he was to go with Matchroom? Because obviously it'd be both are Matchroom fighters. Jack Catterall is out, I think, on Sonny Edwards' undercard, or one of them. He is out on Sonny. I think he is out on Sonny Edwards' undercard. I think he is anyway. And Jack Catterall's out on that. No, sorry, he's on the undercard of Lara Woods. Sorry. and then maybe they do Regis Prograis on a standalone show in America, then they could meet for a fight. Yeah, you would say that, but what does he gain by beating Jack Catterall? Does he gain a title? No. Does he gain a big name in terms of you beating the cash count? No. Is Jack Catterall considered one of the best in the division? Honestly, no disrespect, I'd say no. Whereas if you look at Top Rank 140, it's a longer deal, yes, 2 fight extra, but God knows what's going to happen with Teofimo Lopez after his fight with Josh Taylor. Bear that in mind. But you could potentially have Devin Haney if he sticks around with Top Rank, move up. Josh Taylor, if he beats Teofimo Lopez, there's the run the rematch back. There may very well be a few more fights there at 140 pounds if you are going to stay, or if you were going to go with Top Rank. At the end of the day, I would say, I don't know what deals are. Whatever is financially the best, and whatever gives you the most freedom as a fighter. You do not want to be giving these promoters carte blanche to basically have you kind of like a puppet on the end of a string. You don't want to do that. So whichever one he takes, I hope it's the right decision. Ryan Garcia has split from trainer Joe Goosen following his defeat after Deontay, or following his defeat to Tank Davis, I should say. When he signed with Joe Goosen as his trainer, I instantly remember saying, that's a bad move. Why would you go with Joe Goosen? Not that he's a bad trainer, but someone like Ryan Garcia doesn't... Joe Goosen is an offensive trainer. Ryan Garcia's offensive game isn't bad. It's his defensive game where he's lacking. And I would say his long-range game to an extent. So he would need a trainer who's going to teach him the fine art of defense and how to use his attributes, his physical attributes. I mean, offensively, he's fine. You don't need a trainer who's primarily an offensive trainer to teach you what you already know in terms of offense. So if you were to ask me who would be the trainers who would come to mind for me for Ryan Garcia, I would say 2 names come to mind, and one of them is Ronnie Shields, who I think is a very, very good trainer. He's not a trainer who gets spoken about very much, and I'd be saying actually Sugar Hill Stewart, because he's going to help make the most of his natural ability in terms of he's got quite a good wingspan. So Sugar Hill Stewart or Ronnie Shields. I don't think he needs another trainer who's going to teach him the fine art of offense, because he's very good offensively as Ryan Garcia. He needs to maximize the other things in his game, which he hasn't maximized yet. So for me, they'd be the 2 names. Again, as I said, I was very surprised when he left Eddie Reynoso in order to sign with Joe Goosen as a trainer. I was like, why? Like, what is he? It's kind of like, how would I describe it? You're a striker, right? And you want to be a goalkeeper. Let's just say you're not happy playing as a striker. I know this is a bit of a flimsy analogy, but just bear with me. You're not happy playing as a striker, okay? And you want to be a goalkeeper. You maybe were a goalkeeper early on, and in your early days playing under 15s or something like that, you were a pretty good goalkeeper. You want to get back to that. You feel your legs don't quite have it to be a striker. You don't have the pace in it. Your finishing ability is just not there. So what are you going to do? You're going to go and get a goalkeeping coach. Now I'm going to get another coach who's also a striking coach, who's going to teach me how to play in goals. It just ain't going to work. Bit of a flimsy analogy, but it's the same basic thing. All right. So there's that. Finally signed and sealed, Jared Anderson will face Zan Kobaseski on July 1st in Toledo, Ohio. It's going to be interesting. So step up certainly for Mr. Big Baby Anderson. Let's see how that goes. In terms of fights that are gone and to purse bid, Bob Arum and Top Rank have won the purse bid for Beterbiev versus Smith with a bid of 2.115 million. Eddie Hearn lost it only slightly with a bid of 2.1 million, so just 15 grand. Fight will be for Beterbiev's unified 175 pound world title. Now, him against Callum Smith, it's an interesting fight. I'll be making Beterbiev favourite, no doubt. Obviously, I want to see him versus Bivol, but I think as much as we want to see that fight, I always try and be the glasses half full type of guy, but I really do think that fight, we're fighting a losing battle with that one. For whatever reason, that fight is not going to happen. Sullivan wants to be his normal, stupid, idiot, Neanderthal self and try and virtue signal his way for what, superficial likes on Facebook and crap like that, by saying, we won't sanction it because, they're not responsible for the actions of their government. Shock horror. That's actually how it works, by the way. But of course, he can get a like on Facebook off some idiot with... I'm not going to go there. But that's the fight we want to see. And it ain't going to happen, unfortunately, anytime soon. And at the end of the day, even if it does happen, let's say it happens 18 months down the line, it may as well not happen at all. Because I think by then, Beterbiev will be 40? and it won't be the same spectacle that it would have been if it had happened. Probably now is kind of, we're probably in the last year where we can get it, where at least we have Beterbiev in his prime. Because I think he's going to go, if he's not already on the decline, he's going to see a massive decline over the next year. And it just, Bivol is a great fighter, and I'd probably pick him. I probably would pick him over a prime Beterbiev. But there's always going to be that stigma attached to it if he fights Beterbiev in a year, 18 months, that like, you fought a 40-year-old Beterbiev, you didn't fight the Beterbiev. And, you know, I'd like to see both guys at their best when it happens. I really would. But I've kind of, that one is more of a, I've come to the realization that is just, for whatever reason, that fight is just doesn't seem like it's going to happen, unfortunately. Let's have an old look-see at IBN, International Boxing News, because these guys ain't too shabby, I have to say. They ain't too shabby for the old boxing news and getting some of the fights that are being announced. So, let's see. Just do an old look-see around here. Mick Conlon against, we know that fight's coming up. May is actually shaping up to be a good month. There's not really much there, actually, in terms of there. Let's have an old look-see on the boxing scene as well. But May is shaping up to be a good month for boxing. You know, we've obviously got Canelo, we've got Taylor now in 3 weeks, and then we have the three-piece, as they say, on the 27th, which hopefully they will do it in such a way. I might not even do a watch-along that night, because that's going to be so tricky to try and get reviews out for the main fights. It's just going to be an absolute head melter. I wish they wouldn't do it. I wish that, you know, that there would have been some way they could have made it easier on us. Now, I know Conlon is trying to get on early in the night, and if he does, happy days. But it's going to be, it's just going to be tricky. It's going to be a really, really, really tricky fight. John Ryder, this is nothing I haven't experienced before. Oh, I think it will be. Mate, it's gonna be something that, it's gonna be tricky. It is gonna be a big event. Alright, so here we go. Arslan Gulamarian versus Richard Riakporhe. Deal is close, says Ben Shalom. Now, that's an interesting one. Gulamarian is a good fighter, you know. So I would prefer to see Riakporhe versus Akoli. I think that's an intriguing fight. Gulamarian is no slouch though. But where is Jay Apatayev? This is the guy no one's really mentioned at 200 pounds of cruiserweight. Jay Apatayev is serious. He is a serious contender. He's a champion, but he is a serious operator. So revealed Richard Riakporhe has extended his promotional deal with boxer Ben Shalom. He's probably the only one I've seen who's done that. According to Boxer CEO Ben Shalom, the undefeated fighter is now in line for some big opportunities. One of them is a potential world title fight against WBA champion Arslan Gulamarian, and Riakporhe is also in the mix to face the winner of Akoli versus Billam Smith, which is coming up obviously next month. That's going to be interesting. Let's see how that happens. Let's see what else there is. Is there? Because I want this fight. I like these going on a bit, you know, and I will timestamp this. Don't get me wrong, I will. I've been neglecting the old timestamping. But I'm not really seeing much else, so I'll probably call it there. I think I've gone over the 20-minute mark, which is always the goal for the reviews and the midweek reports and stuff like that. We like doing that, and obviously I've got something planned tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. Dream Team in action. I won't spoil it, but yes, looking forward to that. For now, lads, I will leave you with that. I hope you enjoyed the video, people. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. For now, I will leave you with that. People, I hope you enjoy the video. I hope you're having a great evening, morning, wherever you are in the world, wherever you're watching this. I hope you're having a great time. And I will leave you with that, people. For now, I will talk to you